Sanders comes back, I want to first thank you for inviting me and the English department for inviting me. This class that Professor Sander has, DigitalAfricas, I said if I lived in Amherst, I would be in that class every time we met, because that's how exciting what you're doing there is. Looking at expanding the West's understanding of African literature and new media technologies. As she said, I'm pretty familiar with the University up the street. I finished my graduate work at University of Massachusetts at Amherst. So I want to thank my Anthro folks from there for being here also. My talk today is touching on some themes that are in my book, but it's not going to be totally about my book, so it's just some themes in the book. And one of the things I want to talk about today is, and that was a great segue, I know you just were setting it up for me, in the Nigerian scams, to talk about troubling the one-dimensional criminalization of Nigeria, troubling the reductionist casting of a nation because of Yahoo scams that are done by a marginal population in that nation. I do this by looking at Nigerian citizens' debates around Yahoo-Yahoo, Yahoo culture, globalization, new media consumption, and their impact on the Nigerian culture and identity. These themes foreground community members questioning how Yahoo boys and girls' interaction with Western popular culture through digital media impacts conventional Nigerian social beliefs, practices, and ideologies such as familial and community roles, nationalism, ideas of work, and Nigerian identity. They ask how this global interaction with virtual ideas of material consumption and westernization is changing the expression of Nigerian identity locally and internationally. My observations are based on ethnographic research that I did over a period of 4 years from about 2009 to about 2013 in southwestern Nigeria in the cities of Ile-Ife and Osogbo, both located in Osun State. Now, let me back up a little bit. I forgot to say that I was very fortunate to be able to live in what is known as the birthplace of the Yoruba people, Ile-Ife. Now, I have never been a proficient speaker of Yoruba, but I will tell you, when you hear a native speaker speaking it, it's beautiful. Now, my part, recently I spoke with a person that lived in the neighboring village when I was there on the phone recently, and I noticed that as I was talking with him, there was silence. So I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Wow, your mother tongue has come back really strong." So if you hear my pronunciation of these Yoruba words, please, have some patience with me. So in my talk, I'm going to refer to Yahoo-Yahoo, but know that Yahoo-Yahoo and 419 is interchangeable, but I'm focusing on Yahoo-Yahoo as the term. I use an autoethnographic approach to talk about how my multiple subjectivities, my many identities in the field, led me to important issues of nationality, trust, and Yahoo-Yahoo as a guarded secret. My autobiographical narrative taps into fieldwork reflections usually left in the field notes for editing, and are often edited out as unnecessary information when the ethnography is published. My fieldwork experiences contextualize the difficulty, the difficulty of establishing trust when discussing a practice that is not acceptable, a practice that is extra legal, like Yahoo-Yahoo. These required negotiations of my position as a researcher and my presence as a foreigner in the community really reflect the shifting personal positions that I constantly had to go through in the field. if you take a look at that quote by George Marcus, that sort of encapsulates some of what was going on about the shifting positions. There's another quote, if everyone has finished reading that one, that looks at how my identities were colliding with the community that I was studying, that I was living in. So I am African American. I'm a proud Angelian from Los Angeles, as you said, who has made her home in Durham, North Carolina. In Nigeria, I represented what I refer to as foreign familiarities. Being of African descent, I had physical attributes that were somewhat familiar. Yet my American English, my accent, my history, and my nationality made me foreign. I once listened to anthropologist Bayo Holsey in her paper titled Black Atlanticism, Racial Identification in 21st Century Ghana, talk about how African American tourists are perceived in Ghana. And I'm going to paraphrase this. When discussing diaspora tourism, African Americans' complex identities, they are seen as foreigners, not as part of the African family, and sometimes, this is the part that was hard for me, sometimes associated with missionaries and colonials. I realized that being a member of the African diaspora and even being married to a son of the soil, that is my spouse, who's a Nigerian American, did not ensure me an automatic access and trust to the community. I was judged based on the foreign researchers and Americans that came before me. I was essentially an outsider, and as I lived in the community and worked there, I became what George Simmel refers to as a potential wanderer. And basically, what he says there is a potential wanderer is a person that comes today and stays tomorrow. It's a person that stays with the group through space and time, but remains an outsider because they are not a member of that group. The position in the group is determined by being outside of the group, so that's how the person is defined, but they essentially will not ever belong to the group, but what they do directly impacts the group because of their foreignness. The struggles of being an outsider while representing the collective memory of previous foreign researchers was reflected in the questions and the uncertainty that community members had about talking with me about Yahoo-Yahoo. Much of my research was framed by the Nigerian nationals' distrust of me and African American, and I want to say it was justifiable that they had distrust. Because if you recognize how Yahoo-Yahoo and how Nigeria is presented in American media, it's sort of not surprising that they were very skeptical when I came in. I had many starts and stops. People wondering if they could trust me. It took me approximately half a year to gain the trust of some people. And I imagine it was like a snowball effect. Once those people said, she's okay, and they passed it on to others. Making my intentions clear as a researcher, letting people know I was open to critical discussions of my home country, America, and most importantly, letting them know that I respected Nigeria and Nigerians and wanted to learn about all sides regarding Yahoo-Yahoo, I think really opened up the door. And so one of the things that I really never thought about when I was conducting my research until one day I was participating in a panel and at a conference, and the discussant stopped and he said, okay, we have somebody here who's studying drug cartels in Colombia. We have somebody here who's studying the trafficking of guns. And I don't remember the other part of Africa. And then you're studying Yahoo-Yahoo. He said, are you guys okay? Are you safe? And I was like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. This comes to my point of dangerous fields. Many community members held Yahoo-Yahoo in secrecy because Yahoo-Yahoo represents what anthropologist Kovats Burnett refers to as dangerous fields. Research sites that present physical danger to the researcher. It would be like war zones, crime syndicates, etc. But what I realized was my fieldwork experiences illustrated that this concept of dangerous fields should be shifted a little and should also include dangerous, not just dangerous places and sites, but dangerous practices and identities for both the researcher and the community of study. The dangerous identities for me was interacting with the Yahoo boys and girls and the danger of them misrepresenting themselves and attempting to scam me. And for the Yahoo boys and girls and other Nigerian citizens, the danger was interacting with an American researcher, being unsure if I would represent their position fairly. Though the majority of my fieldwork was conducted in settings and with people that were not deemed dangerous, I was frequently warned to steer away from certain Yahoo boys and girls because of my safety and that it might be compromised. On many occasions, I was advised to cease contact with some Yahoo boys and girls who were known to be vicious. Though I never encountered any physical threats, the warnings and the potential for danger make some of my field experiences stressful and challenging. After speaking with some Yahoo boys and girls, I noticed and realized that they had their own levels of danger and fear. After I made attempts to contact some directly, I realized that I posed terror for them. A few Yahoo boys and girls stated that they feared their identities and safety would be jeopardized if they agreed to speak with me. I was suspected of being a Central Intelligence agent, and I was suspected of working with the Nigerian federal organization, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. This is not an unusual experience because while in the field, 15% of anthropologists reported that they were under suspicion of spying. However, in these conversations, Yahoo boys shared that their cautious stance with me was based on previous experiences and struggles of power and limited control that they felt when foreign journalists conducted documentaries that felt like exposés that misrepresented the Yahoo activity. I know that sounds weird because it's a crime, but I'm trying to get at the deeper parts of it. I told them that as a researcher, my aim was to present multiple sides of Yahoo, and I gave them permission to review their transcripts. And I told them I would use the methodological practice of anonymity. Another point of negotiation that was key to me being able to talk to the community and Yahoo boys and girls about Yahoo-Yahoo was establishing trust among the community members. When I first began speaking with community members about Yahoo-Yahoo, they expressed distrust and embarrassment around discussing Yahoo with a foreign anthropologist. After some guarded responses and evasion of the topic, I discovered that it was impolite as a foreign anthropologist to bring this up with upstanding citizens. It became clear that trust had to be established, and thus I relied more on guides. If you remember, I told you I tried to contact them directly at first, Yahoo boys and girls. I had to then go through guides to make sure that they could clear me first. For example, I depended on referrals and recommendations from guides whom informants trusted. Building trust among Nigerian community members meant stating my research aims, and especially with the Nigerian youth involved in advanced fee fraud, because not all Nigerian youth are doing advanced fee fraud. Disavowing the suspicions that I was a foreign operative with the mission to report Yahoo boys and girls to international fraud agencies in the United States. So I want to talk about what the Nigeria that Nigerians want you to know about, the development and the things that they embrace. Because a lot of times on this side, we hear about the fraud. We hear about Yahoo-Yahoo. We don't even call it Yahoo, we call it 419. But there's other things that are going on. Let's call this the Nigeria that I met. Okay, so as you can see, Nigeria is an economic giant of sub-Saharan Africa, and they celebrated their 50th anniversary in 2010. Also, what's not up there on that slide is that their gross domestic product is ranked #1 in all African nations. She's shaking her head. And according to the IMF, I think it's their gross national product is, I'm going to say that, strike that. But anyways, what I want you to notice is 144 million mobile phone subscribers also. Now, this is a slide that's out of place, but I'm going to talk about it right now. This demonstrates the agricultural sector. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in Nigeria is trying to have a resurgence of what was the glory days in the 1960s. In the past, they were the world's largest producer of groundnuts and palm oil, and then in the 1960s. And they were the second largest exporter of cocoa. The country also was self-sufficient in food production. This is before the emergence of oil in the 1960s in the end. So the ministry is working really hard to try to bring that back. Also, the Federal Ministry of Tourism, okay, we're going to do this now. Okay, look at this internet penetration. This is Nigeria in comparison to all of Africa. Okay, so just to give you an understanding, let's see if we can go back to okay. Also, as you can see, you know Nigerians are online, but sometimes that has to be restated because there have been times where I have spoken with colleagues and the whole idea of a digital divide is their main reference for African nations and the internet. So this has to be restated. And you see social media. And the other thing that is really being developed in Nigeria is this idea of moving towards what is called a Niger Silicon Valley. So there's a huge growth of tech industry, tech businesses that are creating apps that are really concentrating on developing local content and content that is relevant to indigenous cultures in Nigeria. And also, there is a drive to have tablets brought across to secondary schools in Nigeria. There was an article with the headline in the national newspaper, The Vanguard, "New technologies can raise the standard of education in Nigeria." So in 2013, state governments like Osun State launched a campaign to give tablets to all public senior secondary schools. And I want to show you guys this really short video.
It is a scorching afternoon as a determined motley crew in a pickup truck makes its way from the bustling city of Osogbo, the capital of the state of Osun in southwestern Nigeria, to the historic town of Ilesha, about 45 kilometers away. Across the state, similar trips are being made to all public senior secondary schools to introduce a device that was developed out of the extreme necessity to reverse decades of neglect of the state's educational infrastructure and core systems.
So what I'm trying to drive home here is that there are other parts of Nigeria and technology that we don't see. And this is the part that Nigerians want you to see. Overall, Nigeria views computers as a tool of the present and future development. It sees all of these projects making Nigeria owners of the things they produce as key to Nigeria's ability to participate in global trade as a full player and not a dependent nation. This is a positive reflection and relationship of computers in Nigeria. So I want you guys to remember this as we start talking about Yahoo-Yahoo. Nigerians know that the unapproved export of Nigeria is Yahoo-Yahoo, and that it is negatively affecting their development of national identity and burgeoning industries. What I want to do, I know I'm throwing around Yahoo-Yahoo. I didn't find out about Yahoo-Yahoo until I got to Nigeria, so I want to briefly go through some operational definitions so you know what I'm talking about. So first, let me ask, and this is probably your class will know this question, Professor Colin Sanders, but who knows about, or who knew about 419 before you saw this talk or heard about it today? Who's heard about it? Okay. All right. So most people on this side of the ocean do not know what 419 is at first. And then I start saying, let me tell you, this is 419, right? Right? Dear sir, firstly, I must first solicit your confidence, blah, 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 right? So, oops, sorry. 419 is advanced fee fraud named after the Nigerian Penal Code to address corruption. That's where that name came from. Yahoo-Yahoo refers to scams that requested people, both Nigerians and foreigners, let me repeat that, both Nigerians and foreigners, to present money for fraudulent goods and deals. This term is exchanged often in popular discourse among Nigerians to label any interactions or transactions being fraudulent. Yahoo activity, specifically online advanced fee fraud scams, is a virtual request via email where the Yahoo boy or girl convinces the maga, which is scam victim, and that's in the Yoruba version because the Igbo say mugu, but anyway, to make advance payments through money transfers, wiring money to the Yahoo boys and girls. Generally, in exchange for the advance fee, the victim, maga, is offered non-existent goods or deals, such as fraudulent land purchases in Nigeria, claiming money transfers, or purchasing plane tickets for supposed love interests. Yahoo-Yahoo is the 2.0 of 419. Got that? The online version of 419. One of my informants, Kunle, emphasized the difference between classic 419 and Yahoo-Yahoo. He cited classic 419 was the advanced fee fraud scam before the 90s that was practiced by the older Nigerians, while Yahoo-Yahoo is the current advanced fee fraud of the late 90s to present. It is strictly an online scam. He said, classic 419 is the scam of the parents of the Yahoo boys. All right. And then also, one of the things that is not widely known is a lot of the low-ranking, I call them low-ranking because there's a lot of different complex levels of Yahoo activity, but the low-ranking Yahoo boys are the most plentiful, and they're the ones that do a lot of the emails that we get. A lot of them are unemployed and underemployed. Nigerians and Nigerian daily newspapers reiterate that Nigerian youth, like Nigeria as a whole, are operating within an unstable employment system. Unemployment is cited as one of the prevailing reasons for doing Yahoo. Over 80% of youth aged 15 to 24 years in Nigeria are unemployed or underemployed. A response in the comment section to an article that I found on the blog site encapsulates the struggle that Yahoo boys and girls have about whether to do Yahoo or not to do Yahoo. In an exclusive feature in a Nigerian easy reporting the capture of a 26-year-old with the headline, Nigerian super fraudster wanted in America by FBI, over $77,000 in internet love scam. A Nigerian youth named Mark highlighted a link between unemployment and Yahoo activity. I'm going to say, well, it's right there. It says, he said, Nigeria provide employments for our youth, okay? So we know we'll Yahoo till death again. So basically what he was saying is, provide employment for us so we don't have to Yahoo until we die. Cybercrime is not solely a scheme to get Western goods and money, but also symbolizes the precarious nature of feeling unemployable in their native land. So in my research, I focus on low-ranking Yahoo boys and Yahoo girls. I will confess, I did not want to go higher. Okay, because that's when you get the big boys. They actually call them big boys. And I'm not that safe with that, so. So the Yahoo boy, the low-ranking Yahoo boys are young people that are dealing with Yahoo as an act of desperation and are the most prevalent. Generally, they can be as young as 13 years old, largely between the ages of 16 years and 25 years. They can be college students, high school graduates, high school dropouts, but what they all have in common is that they have few job opportunities. Much of the symbols of Yahoo are framed by this low-ranking Yahoo group, Yahoo boys, excuse me, because their involvement in online scams is viewed, though not desirable, as socially rebellious, and despite their transgressions, sexual or otherwise, because there is a sexual part of this, get my book when it's out. They are pardoned because once they quit Yahoo, it's almost like they get a free pass. So they're not held by the activities they did as Yahoo boys. It's seen as it's like a passing thing. As a result, they are somewhat more flamboyant and receptive to talking about doing Yahoo-Yahoo. Now, before now, nobody has really talked about the Yahoo girls. So I want to tell you a little bit about them. The demographics are similar to the Yahoo boys, but I will parse out some of the differences. The low-ranking Yahoo girls are less known and gregarious because they are directly impacted by being involved in Yahoo scams. A lot of times people assume they are prostitutes, and they assume that their involvement directly relates to them selling their bodies in some way. Whether they are assisting or orchestrating is the same thing. They tend to be secondary school graduates and either attend technical schools or they can be in college, and they're between the ages of 17 years and 25 years. I spoke to two graduate students, two young women at the University of Lagos, and they told me their perception of why Yahoo girls did not act like Yahoo boys. The girls are socialized to be the keeper of culture, family, and home, and know there will be reprisals if they are known to be involved in Yahoo-Yahoo, which is seen as disreputable man's business. Most Yahoo girls are accomplices. They are generally the girlfriends of Yahoo boys and act as the female in the dating formats. Formats are the scams, so you know that. Sometimes the Yahoo boys that they assist give them clothing or money in exchange for their help in the scam. There are a few young women who orchestrate the scams themselves, but both accomplices and those orchestrating the scams express more embarrassment about their involvement than the Yahoo boys because they are held to stricter moral values. Because of this, the Yahoo girls adopt what I refer to as complicit silence. The 419 scams or confidence tricks are not unique to Nigerian society. Again, they are not unique to Nigerian society. And this is coming really strong to me right now because when I got to the airport not too long ago, went to go get my car, too much information, but this is going somewhere. And so I'm at the desk and the woman says, oh, where are you going? I told her I'm coming to talk to Amherst College about, Yahoo-Yahoo. Oh, those are Nigerians. Nigerians do those things. I said, actually, no. So obviously, wrong person to bring that up. But, so again, it's not just Nigerians who have done this, okay? America has its own share of scam culture. Forbes magazine states, the internet has fostered the growth of a netherworld of loosely affiliated criminal outfits that make massive amounts of money on high-volume, low-risk scams. How home improvement scams, bait and switch mortgages, fake check scams, internet coaching service schemes, and loan swindles are all on the rise, the report finds. But the difference is, America is not known as a scam nation. The problem is Nigeria is labeled a scam nation, and their national identity is marred due to the scamming of the few. I want to show you this graph. Now, remember what I was saying that Nigeria is not the only one doing it. So these are countries where scams originate. These are originating countries, okay? Interestingly enough, Nigeria seems to be in this all other countries. And look at every place out, sort of pieced out. Okay. Phishing sites, countries of origin, again. Oop, there we are again. So, my knowledge of Yahoo was framed by native TV portrayals. Has anyone heard of Nigerian scamming or 419 on any television shows, if you watch any shows or movies, ever? Really? Okay, I don't want to embarrass myself and say where I heard it. But just watch some shows that you'll see. I'm not going to take the show. Okay, I'll tell you. Okay. So, my knowledge of 419 was that email that was sent to the spam. 419 letters are usually the thing that I just looked at and went straight to the spam. But this collective memory, unfortunately, is the go-to reference for Nigeria and Nigerians in the 21st century, defining a criminal connection to technology for Nigeria. Social media and video channels like YouTube frame the international scope of 419 and hence Nigeria. My knowledge of the complexity of Yahoo-Yahoo and Yahoo culture, there is a Yahoo culture in Nigeria, was very different from what I experienced in America. And it grew as I was able to talk with Nigerians about this informal practice. After gaining trust that I was not an American operative for different agencies in the US that would cast usual stereotypes, conducting research in Nigeria and talking with Nigerians from all walks of life, they reveal this expression of Yahoo in many different ways in society and how it was wrecking their national identity. I call this part Spot the Yahoo Boy. First, people began to identify Nigerian youth that they thought were Yahoo boys and girls to me. Excuse me. They pointed out their clothing. They pointed out symbols of Yahoo wealth that were visible in video, film, and song, used to mark the material wealth and status of Yahoo boys, which include, but are not limited to, jewelry, smartphones, original cloth, which is clothes purchased from Western countries like America or Britain, sports cars, and most especially laptops. Though, remember when I showed you 144 million mobile phone subscribers? The laptop is not as heavily used in these scams, and that is also recognized in the song by Olamide Yahoo Boy No Laptop. Yahoo Boys were also identified by their bravado, their conspicuous wealth, and some were known as acting out their own retribution by using their scams to fight Western exploitation of Nigeria by fleecing Westerners. Not everybody described themselves like that, but some did. In an attempt to justify their actions and to garner a reputation that is respected, if not envied, Yahoo Boys identify themselves as smart bad boys, getting paid by the greedy foreign MAGA. Excuse me. I noticed Nollywood films featuring Yahoo characters. And I know that's really, you can't read it, but it says Yahoo Boys up there. And down here, Yahoo Millionaire, that was a made-for-TV show. Discussions, Nollywood films, newspaper headlines all pointed to a concern that Yahoo-Yahoo was threatening the national image of Nigeria. And this debate and this concern was also present in some of the songs that were airing during the time I was there. The community and government were fighting for the nationalistic identity through music. The story of Yahoo Boys and Girls is performed in song, primarily Nigerian hip hop, on blogs and on the small screen music videos. This battle of Yahoo-Yahoo versus national identity was represented in the music tracks Maga Dompe by Kelly Handsome, that came out in 2009, and the response track, Maga No Me Pay by Bling, which came out in 2010. Also, Maga No Me Pay was known as the Microsoft soft anthem against cybercrime. The Handsome track, Maga No Pay, mythologizes the Yahoo Boy. Okay, this is not a very clear image, but this is Maga No Pay. Basically, for those of you that don't know Pidgin English, he was basically saying that he's been suffering and now the mark of the MAGA has paid, and you know what shout hallelujah means, so you get that part. So the nationalist program and the desired Nigerian national identity reflected in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission proof track, MAGA No Me Pay, is played alongside Maga Dompe, and it depicts what drives a marginal yet significant number of Nigerian youth's involvement in Yahoo activity. Critical perspectives of Yahoo Boys, such as Maga No Me Pay, do not just reflect the EFCC government campaign against internet fraud, but also reflects the mainstream view of Yahoo-Yahoo and Yahoo Boys. That message is to encourage youth to exercise social control and avoid the Yahoo lifestyle. So of course I have to show you MAGA, well, a part of MAGA No Me Pay.
our identity, to expose your ability, change our reality.
So basically, what Bling is saying and what the EFCC is saying is don't do Yahoo for a few dollars to then impact the Nigerian image in the fatherland negatively for a very extensive time. Work an honest job, that was the car person there, the mechanic, and be a true patriot. This nationalistic battle performed through music represents the lived debates and disagreements about Yahoo-Yahoo and the reasons some youth are attracted to this risky response to under and unemployment, such as negative influences from the West. This is what some Nigerians discuss. At the heart of these debates is a battle for the national ideal that they feel is threatened by this form of globalization through Western popular culture. Performances of Yahoo boys and girls in music and film depict boring images of Nigerian youth and their negotiation of frustrated access to money in formal arenas, thus adopting informal and illegal approaches to earning money. Whether the videos, films, and songs are critical or seemingly praise Yahoo life, these narratives encompass a larger battle of the Yahoo boy as a symbol of Nigerian ideals warring with globalization, global criminal elements, and Western popular culture which threaten the Nigerian national identity. These images support the federal government tagging and identifying the criminal element of these wayward youth. Within this symbol are the actual life decisions of Yahoo boys and girls, the many low-ranking youth that choose to mimic and portray the images consumed over the airwaves and on the small screen. The reality of many of these Nigerian youth cloaked in original cloth and bling are massive youth unemployment, being socially ostracized from their communities, and going through frustrated markers of adulthood. In the U.S., there's a negative framing of Africa, and the author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie warns that single story. In Nigeria, the elders are looking at the U.S. with a suspicion of corrupting Nigerian youth. Community elders attribute Nigerian youth's involvement in Yahoo to global materialism and Nigerian youth coveting Western ways. Global media, cable TV, blogs, social media, online articles, and listservs present dominant American entertainment as universals of wealth, trendiness, and consumerism. Nigerian elders feel the youth's consumption of these Western absolutes and the youth's pervasive ranking of American trends over Nigerian tradition and culture influence the ill-advised decision to commit internet fraud. Many Nigerians agree with Maganoni Pay and see Yahoo boys and girls as lousy and lazy youth that just need to get a job. That was an actual quote. They also look harshly at what they see as Yahoo boys mimicking Western ideals, adopting a desire for wealth, materialism, individualism, being what they say is like the West and actually far from the Nigerian ideal of nation pride and communal support. They identify the youth's exposure to Western influences through popular American cable shows as detrimental to ideas of honorable Nigerian work. Elders in the community establish and reinforce what is respectable work. Retired secondary school teacher Mrs. Olatide said, "The youth are acting foolish when they try to act like Oyinbo foreigner. They are making poor choices, the Yahoo boys." Nigerian youth are clear that they, like youth around the world, are consumers of global media dominated by Western culture, specifically American and British culture. But, contrary to Mrs. Olatide, the Yahoo boys and girls share that they appropriate Western culture as a means to gain access to the West, but do not wholeheartedly divorce themselves from Nigerian practices and views. Yahoo boys respond that there are no jobs, and much of the Yahoo culture, their clothes, their speech, their music, and their familiarity with the internet is a blending of Western and Nigerian popular culture. Discussing what he theorizes as the colonial nature of the internet, critical theorists Darren Sadar, delineates what he regards as the colonization of cyberspace by Western culture. According to Sadar, the internet is not only a conscious reflection of the deepest desires, aspirations, and spiritual angst of the Western man, but cyberspace also embodies the American dream writ large. This American dream, he argues, privileges only middle to upper middle class white men and excludes most indigenous cultures and women. Many Nigerians view the media content as cultural neocolonialism, and at stake is the preservation of Nigerian culture for the next generation. So, I want to wrap this up by saying the autoethnographic method, because I have to bring it back to anthropology, shows my process of discovering, learning more about Yahoo-Yahoo and its connection to Nigerian community and nationality. Especially, anthropology allows me to pull away from my societal trappings for a little bit to understand what it's like to be in another society. And that's it.